All right, let's jump right in. In the next few minutes, we're going to completely reframe how you think about money. No, we're not talking about spreadsheets or market analysis. We're going to talk about the single most important and honestly, the most overlooked part of your financial life, which is your own mind. I mean, have you ever really thought about this? We all know these people: doctors, lawyers, engineers, folks who are absolutely brilliant in their fields, but for some reason just can't seem to get their finances straight. They earn good money, but it's like it just vanishes. So, what's going on there? And here it is. This is the answer. Doing well with money has almost nothing to do with how smart you are, and everything to do with how you behave. This one idea right here is the key that unlocks the whole thing. It explains why simply knowing about finance is never enough. Okay, so first up, let's tear down a really common myth. We're going to put the calculator away for a bit and instead look inside the human brain. That's where we'll find the real driver of our financial outcomes. You see, we're all taught to treat money like it's physics, with these hard and fast rules and formulas that always give you the same result. But it's not like that at all. It's way more like a soft skill, like learning to be a good leader or communicating effectively. It's messy, it's personal, and it's driven by our weird human quirks and emotions, not just by numbers on a page. Now, if money really is all about behavior, then we have to understand the brain that's driving that behavior. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Our brains are often wired with these little traps that can lead us straight into making some really bad financial decisions. And the main culprits here are something called cognitive biases. The best way to think of them is like your brain's default settings. They're designed to save you time and energy by creating these little mental shortcuts. And, they're super useful for everyday survival. But when it comes to something like long-term financial planning, these shortcuts can be incredibly costly. So let's look at two of the most powerful money traps. First up, you've got confirmation bias. Basically, if you think a certain stock is a great investment, your brain will subconsciously hunt for news that proves you're right and ignore everything else. And then there's loss aversion. The fear of losing money, that sting, is so powerful that it often causes us to panic and sell at the worst possible time, even when logic is screaming at us to do the opposite. This quote just nails the heart of confirmation bias. We aren't really seeking the truth, we're seeking comfort. We just want to be told that the decisions we've already made are the right ones, and you can see how that creates a really dangerous echo chamber for our money. So beyond these mental shortcuts, there's an even more powerful force at play, and that is pure, raw emotion. Yeah, we love to think of ourselves as these rational, logical beings, but when money is on the line, our feelings often grab the steering wheel. Just take a look at this breakdown. It's pretty staggering when you see it laid out like this. A massive 70% of our financial decisions are driven primarily by emotion, not logic, not data. This is exactly why we know we should be saving more, but we spend instead. It's a constant battle between what our brain knows is smart and what our heart feels in the moment. And here are the usual suspects, right? I'm sure we've all felt these. That fear of missing out, FOMO, that pushes us into risky investments everyone's talking about. Greed and panic, the classic duo that makes us buy high and sell low. The desire for social status, which fuels spending on things we don't need to impress people we don't know. And of course, good old instant gratification, which always convinces us to choose today's little pleasure over tomorrow's long-term security. So this is a question that is really worth asking yourself. And I mean, honestly, think about your last big purchase or financial decision. Was it a deliberate step toward a goal you set for yourself years ago? Or was it a gut reaction to a feeling you had that day? The answer can be pretty revealing. Okay, so how do we fix this? What do we do? Well, it requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we define our ultimate financial goal. We need to stop chasing a specific number in a bank account and start pursuing a certain state of being. And it all comes down to understanding the massive difference between being rich and being wealthy. They are not the same thing. Being rich is about your current income. It's the visible stuff, the flashy cars, the big houses, but it's often fragile, dependent on that next paycheck. Wealth, on the other hand, is the stuff you don't see. It's the assets in your portfolio quietly working for you. In a nutshell, wealth is freedom. And this right here is the ultimate goal. Wealth isn't about having enough money to just stop working. It's about having enough money and assets so that you have complete control over your life, to have options, and to never be forced into a decision because you need the money. It's all about autonomy. So this brings us to our final and probably most important takeaway. After everything we've talked about, all the psychology, the biases, the emotions, what is the one thing money can actually buy that is truly priceless? This is it. This is the whole game. The ultimate return on your savings and your investments isn't more stuff. It's control. Control over what you do, when you do it, and who you do it with. That is the most valuable commodity in the entire world, and it is the true purpose of building wealth. So the real question you've got to ask yourself is, what are you doing today to buy back more of your time tomorrow?